Tara Brach is such an inspiring figure. She stands at this incredible crossroads between psychology and spirituality, bringing the profound practices of Buddhist meditation and mindfulness into the everyday lives of so many. Can you imagine the countless lives she's touched through her books, teachings, and digital platforms? Through her work, people across the world have found a way to emotional healing, self-compassion, and mental well-being. What truly sets her apart is how she bridges ancient Buddhist wisdom with the most modern insights from psychology, creating a space where these traditions come together in a way that feels not only practical but deeply personal. Isn't that remarkable? Let's dive deeper into her journey. Her contributions, and the immense impact she has had. There's so much to explore and appreciate. Background and career path. Let's start at the beginning of Tara Brach's journey, which is just as fascinating as the work she does today. Did you know that Tara's first encounter with Eastern spirituality and meditation practices began in the 1970s? It's almost as if the seeds of mindfulness and self-compassion were planted in her heart, waiting to blossom into the rich teachings that would eventually change so many lives. Imagine being drawn into a world of yoga and meditation at a time when these practices were just starting to gain attention in the West. For Tara, this wasn't just a passing interest. It became a lifelong calling. Her journey took her deep into Buddhist philosophy, where she studied intensively. But what makes her journey so unique is the way it unfolded in tandem with her study of psychology. She earned a PhD in clinical psychology, which would later allow her to approach mindfulness and emotional healing with a level of psychological insight that many spiritual teachers don't possess. She didn't just practice meditation and mindfulness, she understood, on a scientific level, the workings of the mind and how these practices could be tailored to meet the emotional and psychological needs of modern people. Can you imagine the depth of understanding that must have given her? By the early 2000s, her teachings were already gaining traction. She founded the Insight Meditation Community of Washington, D.C., which quickly became a popular meditation center. This community, along with her books, lectures, and growing online presence, became a hub for anyone interested in mindfulness, meditation, and Buddhist teachings. Think about it. What started as a personal exploration for Tara has now become a guiding light for so many. Isn't it incredible how one person's journey can ripple out to touch the lives of so many others? Key contributions, radical acceptance, the foundation of healing. If you had to point to one thing that defines Tara Brach's teachings, it would probably be radical acceptance. Just the name of it gives me chills. What if we could all just fully accept ourselves and our circumstances without resistance or judgment? How liberating would that be? Tara's groundbreaking book Radical Acceptance, Embracing Your Life with the Heart of a Buddha, published in 2003, introduced this life-changing concept to the world. But what is radical acceptance, exactly? At its core, it's about recognizing and accepting the reality of our lives as they are, rather than constantly fighting against them. It's about embracing ourselves, flaws and all, with the same compassion that a Buddha might have for all beings. How often do we get stuck in cycles of self-judgment, feeling like we're not good enough, not doing enough, or that somehow, we're failing at life? Tara calls this the trance of unworthiness, and it's something so many of us live with every single day without even realizing it. Can you relate to that feeling of never quite measuring up, no matter how hard you try? I know I can. Radical acceptance teaches us that the key to breaking free from this cycle of shame and self-rejection is to stop fighting ourselves. Instead of resisting our feelings or trying to push away the pain, Tara encourages us to fully embrace it, to allow ourselves to feel the discomfort without judging it. Imagine how freeing that could be, to meet your suffering with kindness, rather than harsh criticism. And what's even more powerful is that, by accepting ourselves as we are, we create space for real change and growth. It's such a paradox, isn't it? The more we fight against ourselves, the more stuck we become. But when we finally surrender to acceptance, that's when we truly begin to heal. In her teachings, Tara often emphasizes that this kind of healing requires both awareness and compassion. We have to be willing to turn toward our pain, rather than away from it, but we also need to do so with a tender, compassionate heart. It's this combination of mindfulness and compassion that makes radical acceptance so transformative. And it's not just about accepting ourselves, it's about accepting life itself. With all its messiness, unpredictability, and imperfection. Doesn't that sound like a huge relief? Rain meditation, a practical tool for emotional awareness, one of the most accessible and practical tools Tara has offered to the mindfulness community is her adaptation of the rain meditation technique. The acronym RAIN stands for Recognize, Allow, Investigate, and Nurture, and these 4 steps serve as a guide for navigating difficult emotions with mindfulness and self-compassion. It's simple, but incredibly powerful. Let's break it down. The first step is to recognize what's happening. This might sound easy, but how often do we actually take a moment to pause and really acknowledge our emotions? More often than not. We're caught up in our reactions, running on autopilot. But by recognizing what's happening in the present moment, whether it's anxiety, anger, sadness, or even joy, we create a space of awareness. In that space, we can begin to respond more skillfully, rather than reacting out of habit. The second step is to allow the experience to be there, just as it is. This can be a tough one. How often do we try to push away uncomfortable emotions, or distract ourselves from feeling them? Allowing doesn't mean we have to like what we're feeling, but it does mean making space for it, without judgment. It's about letting the emotion be there, rather than trying to suppress it or make it go away. Next comes investigate, which is all about exploring the emotion with kindness and curiosity. What is this feeling trying to tell us? Where does it live in our body? What thoughts are associated with it? By investigating with an open heart, we can start to understand the deeper layers of our emotional experience, and often, we find that there's a deeper need or wound that's asking for our attention. Finally, the last step is nurture, and this is where the magic happens. After recognizing, allowing, and investigating our emotions, we offer ourselves a moment of self-compassion. We can ask ourselves, what does this part of me need right now? How can I offer myself comfort or support? Tara often talks about holding ourselves with a kind and tender heart. And this is where that gentle nurturing comes into play. Imagine how different life would feel if we treated ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a dear friend in need. The beauty of the RAIN technique is that it's so practical. You can use it in the middle of a stressful situation, or when you're feeling overwhelmed by emotions. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It's like building a muscle of mindfulness and self-compassion. Isn't it amazing how something so simple can have such a profound impact on our emotional well-being? Bridging Buddhist teachings with Western psychology. What's so fascinating about Tara Brach's work is the way she brings together Buddhist teachings and Western psychology in a way that feels seamless. It's almost as if she's translating ancient wisdom into modern language, making it accessible to anyone, regardless of their spiritual background. In traditional Buddhist teachings, there's a strong focus on understanding the mind and the nature of suffering. But Tara brings in psychological insights that speak directly to the issues we face in modern life, like low self-esteem, perfectionism, and emotional numbness. She doesn't shy away from the tough stuff. And what's really powerful is how she blends these teachings in a way that feels both practical and profound. You don't have to be a Buddhist to benefit from her teachings, they're universal in their application. For example, her work is often compared to mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, and mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, two therapeutic approaches that have gained popularity in clinical settings. These approaches use mindfulness practices to help people manage anxiety, depression, and stress, and Tara's teachings complement them beautifully. But where MBCT and MBSR focus primarily on the psychological aspects of mindfulness, Tara adds a spiritual dimension that deepens the healing process. It's like she's offering not just relief from suffering, but a path to deeper meaning and fulfillment. One of the best examples of this is her second major book, True Refuge, Finding Peace and Freedom in Your Own Awakened Heart, published in 2013. In this book, Tara explores the concept of finding safety and refuge in the midst of life's uncertainty and suffering. How often do we look for peace and security outside of ourselves, whether it's in relationships, achievements, or material possessions? But Tara reminds us that the true refuge we seek can only be found within ourselves, through mindful awareness and self-compassion. Isn't that such a comforting thought? No matter what's happening in our external world, we can always find peace within. Focus on self-compassion, a healing tool. Self-compassion is at the heart of Tara Brach's teachings, and it's something she speaks about with such tenderness and wisdom. Many of us, especially those who have experienced trauma or feelings of inadequacy, are caught in cycles of self-criticism and harsh judgment. We tell ourselves we're not good enough, that we should be doing more, that somehow we're failing at life. Does that sound familiar? Tara teaches that these destructive mental patterns can only be healed through self-compassion. She often uses the phrase holding ourselves with a kind and tender heart, and just hearing those words feels healing, doesn't it? In her teaching sessions, she leads guided meditations that focus on nurturing self-compassion, helping participants release their judgments and cultivate a kind, forgiving attitude toward themselves. Imagine what it would feel like to stop beating yourself up and start treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a close friend. That's the kind of transformation Tara's teachings can inspire, and the beauty of self-compassion is that it's not just about feeling good in the moment, it's about building a foundation of emotional resilience. When we learn to meet our own suffering with kindness, we become stronger, more able to navigate life's challenges with grace and equanimity. Tara often emphasizes that self-compassion is not about letting ourselves off the hook or avoiding responsibility, it's about creating the conditions for true healing and growth. By practicing self-compassion, we can begin to release the guilt, shame, and unworthiness that keep us stuck in cycles of suffering. Digital influence, podcasts and online teachings. In today's digital age, Tara Brach has harnessed the power of technology to bring her teachings to a global audience. Isn't it amazing how accessible mindfulness and meditation have become, thanks to the internet? Tara's podcasts, which feature her Dharma talks, guided meditations, and Q&A sessions, are downloaded by millions of people around the world. Whether you're driving to work, taking a walk, or simply sitting at home, you can access her wisdom and guidance at any time. It's like having a personal mindfulness teacher in your pocket. Her podcasts have become an essential resource for people seeking mindfulness guidance and emotional support, and they offer something for everyone, whether you're new to meditation or have been practicing for years. And because they're free and available online, they've made her teachings accessible to people who might not otherwise have the opportunity to attend a retreat or meditation center. In addition to her podcasts, Tara has also developed a wide range of online courses and webinars. These programs offer a more structured approach for people looking to deepen their meditation practice or work on specific emotional issues, such as fear, anxiety, or trauma. The flexibility of online learning means that people from all walks of life can benefit from her teachings, regardless of their location or schedule. Isn't it incredible how technology has allowed Tara to reach so many people and make mindfulness so accessible? Books and publications. Tara Brach is also an accomplished author, and her books have been life-changing for so many people. Her first book, Radical Acceptance, introduced the world to the concept of self-compassion and mindfulness as tools for emotional healing, and it has since become a classic in the field of mindfulness literature. Her second book, True Refuge, takes these teachings even deeper, exploring the idea that true peace and freedom come from within. In this book, Tara invites readers to look beyond the external circumstances of their lives and find refuge in their own awakened hearts. It's a powerful reminder that, no matter what's happening in the world around us, we have the capacity to find peace within ourselves. And her latest book, Trusting the Gold, published in 2021, is a shorter, illustrated work that reinforces the message of finding one's innate goodness and worthiness, even in difficult times. It's a beautiful, gentle reminder that, no matter how flawed or imperfect we may feel, there is a core of goodness within each of us that can never be tarnished. Each of her books offers readers practical guidance for navigating the challenges of modern life with mindfulness, self-compassion, and emotional awareness. And what I love most about her writing is that it feels like she's speaking directly to you, offering her wisdom in a way that's both profound and accessible. Analysis of impact. Tara Brach's influence on mental health and emotional well-being is hard to overstate. Her teachings have been embraced by mental health professionals and therapists, who often recommend her books, podcasts, and meditations to clients struggling with anxiety, depression, or trauma. Her approach offers both immediate relief from emotional distress and a long-term path to healing and resilience. One of the things that makes Tara's work so powerful is that it resonates with people from all walks of life. You don't have to be a Buddhist to benefit from her teachings. Her focus on self-compassion, emotional awareness, and mindfulness speaks to anyone who is seeking relief from suffering and a deeper connection to themselves. She has a unique ability to make Buddhist teachings feel relevant and accessible, and her work has played a key role in popularizing mindfulness in the West. Her teachings are particularly valuable for people dealing with trauma. Through mindfulness and self-compassion practices, individuals can learn to process and heal from deep emotional wounds. Tara's approach helps people cultivate emotional resilience, allowing them to face life's challenges with greater strength and self-awareness. Isn't that the kind of healing we all long for? Conclusion. Tara Brach's work represents a profound contribution to the fields of mindfulness, psychological healing, and spiritual growth. By skillfully blending Buddhist principles with modern psychology, she offers a powerful path to emotional well-being and self-compassion. Through her books, podcasts, and teachings, Tara has helped millions of people worldwide embrace mindfulness practices that foster healing, reduce suffering, and promote inner peace. Her work continues to influence how mindfulness and meditation are taught and practiced, making her a vital figure in the global mindfulness movement. If you haven't yet explored her teachings, I encourage you to dive in. Whether through her books, podcasts, or online courses, there's something in her work for everyone. Imagine the peace and freedom that await as you embrace self-compassion and mindfulness with her gentle guidance. What a gift to the world she is.